Have you ever dated someone and then like 2 weeks in, you feel like, oh my God, I feel like I've known this person forever. We've already talked about all of our childhood wounds and she gets me. We're following each other on Instagram. I follow her dog on Instagram. This is my wife. I just know it. And then about 6 months later, she's like, you know what? I think I need some space. And you're like, what? So today we're talking about something called the Johari Window with lesbian therapist Katherine Sloan, and she's in Asheville, North Carolina. Fellow Southerner, y'all. So stick around because she's going to help us make sense of all this.
Your Southern Lesbian, traveling the globe again from London to California with a little bit of Carolina.
Hey y'all, so today is a co-host situation and we have Katherine Sloan. She goes by Kadee. She is a lesbian therapist, y'all, in Asheville, North Carolina, which I love. I have been there. So fellow Southern gal, I love it. For those of y'all that don't know me, I am Ashley Hydrick. I'm host of Your Southern Lesbian podcast. I am not a therapist, and I say it again and again and again. I am just a little lesbian who has learned a thing or two in my 55 years of dating. So, and Katherine, Kadee, yes, please,
Yeah.
please tell us about you.
Yeah, my name's Kadee. I've been a licensed therapist for 25 years, also raised in the South, and I'm also an out lesbian. I've been out for 25 years. And so I like to say, I've made all the mistakes so you don't have to. And I wish all of this information had been available to me in my 20s so that I could have dated smarter and saved myself a lot of heartache. So
Right. So, y'all, Kadee wrote this amazing book called The Lesbian Survival Guide. And the tagline on it, I actually freaking love.
it's because dating should not be harder than coming out.
Dating should not be harder than coming out. So, where were you in my 20s?
Yeah. I wish I'd had this in my 20s.
Like,
So,
it's like raise your
the
hand
goal
if
is
dating is
to
still...
the goal is to help people have healthy and happy relationships.
When I read your book, which is fabulous, y'all, it is an easy read. It's only like, what? It's under 90 pages, I think.
Yeah, it's 75 pages. Yeah.
Okay, so it's you can read it in a couple hours. It is chock full of great information, and she's even illustrated it. There's lots of pictures, y'all. It moves fast, don't worry. It's fantastic. And as I was reading it, there were a few things in there that just really stood out to me. And one, you said everybody should know your Enneagram number, which I didn't. And I'm an ENFJ on the...
Oh, you're an ENFJ? Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes,
Okay.
as my personality type. And then I got an Enneagram 7. I had to do these
Wow.
tests because I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, good.
Which
Yeah.
Enneagram 7 I found out is basically the same traits as a Sagittarius, which I am a double Sag. So,
Okay, wow.
but I thought that was interesting, and it's really cool to sit through those tests
Yeah.
and just understand where you're coming from and understand a
Mhm.
little bit about yourself before diving in
Mhm.
with someone else.
Mhm.
This book, though, I had heard of the Johari Window a long time ago, but I think it kind of went there, and I haven't
Mhm.
thought about it in years. And it was so great to be reintroduced to it because I had forgotten that these 4 quadrants are things that we really need to keep in mind when we're meeting anybody, really, but especially somebody that we're dating.
Mhm.
And you make the point in there of physical attraction plus orgasms equals oxytocin. And oxytocin, y'all, is the bonding hormone, right? This is her words, not mine.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
you should never be bonding with someone who's not good for you.
Right.
First of
So,
all, step
yeah.
one, right?
Yeah.
So please elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, first, let me just we're talking about the Johari window. So I just want to explain quickly what that
Yes,
is, if that's okay. So it was
please.
first, I learned about it in grad school and for counseling. So it was first developed around 1955. So it's an older model. And so I went back to it, and the Johari window is basically a square split into 4 parts, 4 quadrants. And the top left quadrant, and I know you can see a graph on the
I'll
screen,
put the graph up
is
here.
the
Yep.
open section, and that's things that we know about ourselves and the other person knows. It's just what we are willing to tell somebody when we're first getting to know them,
Sure.
because we're not going to meet somebody the first couple of dates and say, by the way, I've got a really bad anger issue.
Right.
Nobody's going to say that. So
Right.
when we first meet somebody, we're just getting to know what they're willing to tell us and what we're willing to tell them. And a
Yeah.
lot of times with lesbians, we are willing to share a lot at first.
A lot.
Yes, a lot at first. But the key here is that just because we're sharing information, we don't know how they act that out in their lives.
That's correct.
And so that moves us down to the window that's called the hidden window, which are things that we don't tell people yet about
Yep.
how we act out our trauma. So maybe somebody's telling us they have trauma based on, their family history, but we have no idea how that acts out, how they act that out in their day to day,
How it's going to show up when you get
how it's
into
going
an
to show up.
argument.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the bottom
Yeah.
left-hand quadrant called the hidden parts. That's like it's not known to others, but it's known to self.
Right. Right. And the open stuff also, I'm just thinking could probably also be like social media, right?
Oh yeah.
Any open forward
Yeah.
presence that you have that you think people
Yeah.
know about you.
Right. Yeah. We only put on social media the good parts usually. We don't share
Right.
the not so good parts. So,
Right. Exactly.
we just show up we do it. I mean, I do it too. We all do it. We show up with a mask on to a certain extent. We
Right.
only show the best parts of ourselves,
Right.
the parts that are gonna look good. And that makes sense. Like we want people to like us. And so I try to tell, people, this what you know about somebody the first couple of dates. You might think you're falling in love and you might sleep with them even or cuddle a lot and you're bonding with them, but oh my gosh, like you really don't know them yet.
Right. And how long do you think that that mask stays on in the beginning of dating?
So biologically, with the hormone, the honeymoon phase, like we
Uh-huh.
start out in the honeymoon phase, and that biologically lasts about 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, that
So
sounds right.
yeah, it can be longer if it's a long distance relationship. You can be in the honeymoon phase longer if it's long distance because there's still a lot of novelty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
So around 6 months, you'll start to like notice the person's flaws and the blinders come off. So I say you don't really start to know somebody until you've known them at least 6 months. At least
At
6 months.
least.
At least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Or longer. I mean,
Uh-huh.
and listen, lesbians move so fast. And even my last few relationships, it's like there's so much time spent together, even if it's not in
Mm-hmm.
person, it's on the phone or it's texting and
Mm-hmm.
you just start to develop, like you're saying, all that oxytocin is flowing and you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling like, oh, this is my person. I found her. And I would say that, it creates this false sense of security, right?
It does. Yeah.
Right. Hence the
Yeah.
bonding.
It creates a false sense of security. And then around the 6 to 12 month mark, when the flaws start to be uncovered, maybe there's an argument, something happens because a lot of times we don't really know who somebody is until we have conflict with them.
Right. Right.
That with the Johari window, that moves into the bottom right hand quadrant, which is like the unknown parts, which is it's not known to self or the other person. Like we don't know when we're getting to a relationship how we're going to manage conflict with them.
Right.
We don't know that yet.
Right.
And so we need to know this going into it. Like, yeah, they're great. They have all these great qualities, but I don't know how we manage conflict. We might not be able to fight right, which is really important in having a healthy relationship is knowing how to resolve conflict with somebody. So,
Right. And this Johari window, really, like you've got your own window and they've got their own window,
yeah,
right? So
exactly. Yeah.
you've got your unknown parts that you don't know how
Mhm.
they're going to come out with this person because they're
Mhm.
unknown. You're
Yeah.
exploring this relationship together. And same
Yeah.
with them. They don't know how they're going to respond to you because, you may have worked on things in the past, but here walks in a new set of triggers and,
Mhm.
you're off to the races again.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, let's say, initially when you're getting to know somebody, especially if it's long distance and you're just talking, Zoom or whatever, or FaceTime, and let's say it seems great, they maybe have, everything looks good on paper, but maybe once you spend a lot of time with them, maybe they like leave a lot of dirty dishes in the sink all the time and don't wash them. And that's really triggering for you. You
Pretty
know,
rude.
that's something in the beginning that you might not even know is something that could be an issue. So that's like a hidden
Sure.
part.
Yeah,
That's the unknown part, sorry, that's an
right.
unknown part
And
of
just
the
trauma
Johari window.
responses. There's things that I realized in my last relationship and prior, patterns that would show up as like, I had no idea that I still had these triggers. I thought, my
Uh-huh.
God, I thought those just belonged to X person in my family that I grew up with. But why are those same reactions showing up here? That was news to me.
Yeah, right. And so
Yeah.
we need to move into relationships the first couple of months, even if it feels like it's really good, that we stay unattached in a way. Like we don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah,
We
well,
just
good luck with
so
that, lesbians.
I tell the lesbians like pace yourself.
Good luck with that,
Pace yourself.
lesbians.
This is a marathon, not a sprint. Like,
But they smell good and they're so
yeah.
cute and they've got those eyes and they're cuddly. That's
Yeah.
easier said than done.
Right.
And women
Yeah.
bond so easily. Like we talk to one
Hmm.
another so easily and we start to share things on a deep level. Like I haven't been in a straight relationship since college, but I did not share
Hmm.
things that fast with
Yeah.
guys, and it's
Mm.
just we bond so fast.
Yeah.
So how do we slow it down?
Yeah, that's I love that question because even I think on the Made It Out podcast,
Uh-huh.
are you familiar with her?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yes, she's great. She talked about this a little bit, and I totally agree. It's like if you're in the same town as somebody and you get to see them as much as you want to, you want to make sure that you keep your autonomy, that you still hang out with your friends. So, like, if I'm not dating right now, but if I was dating and I met somebody, I would say, okay, like, I really like this person, and I'm gonna make sure that I spend about two nights a week, maybe 1 or 2 nights a week, going out and hanging out with them to
Yeah.
get to know them slowly.
Yes.
I'm not
That
gonna
sounds
like
like
go
a
over
great
and spend
plan.
the weekend. I'm not gonna go over and
Right.
spend the weekend, and I'm not gonna like stop, hanging out with my friends because I've met this person. I'm not gonna just like jump into this like head first.
Right.
Another way to look at it is if you're a visual person like I am, is think of it as you're going into a swimming pool, the shallow end first. You're going
I
down the
like that.
steps. And then you take
And
another
then you
step.
dive in? No.
You take no, you don't. Yeah, you take a step and then you get used to the water because it's cold. You take another step and see how it goes, and another step. And what lesbians usually do is just go straight to the diving board.
Exactly.
You go there and go straight in. And it's like, and then after 6 months, it's like, oh my God, I thought I knew this person so much, and now like I had no idea that they, are they cussed me out and slammed the door, and
Right.
every time we have an argument.
Right.
They leave the house and they withdraw every time we have
Yeah.
conflict or something like that. It's like, okay, well, you know, if you had just gradually been dating and not moved in together, this wouldn't be such a problem because you could just like end the relationship and
Right.
it not have such an effect. But
Right. So no
so
diving of any kind,
no
lesbians.
diving. Yep. No diving.
Until
Just
at
take your
least,
time.
I don't know, I'll let Katherine tell you, but
Yeah.
and the other thing is like what I have noticed, and I'm sure you know too, is whatever wounds we have, we tend to attract someone who is very compatible with triggering those wounds. Again, like,
Hmm.
and I get into the woo woo a little bit of stuff on my
Hmm.
podcast too. And I totally believe that, Earth is a
Hmm.
school and we're here to learn these things in relationships. And when you're alone, you can learn a little bit by
Yeah.
listening to people like you. But, you really don't learn in the body somatically until you're back in it again and you're experiencing these
Hmm.
things, right?
Right. We will be
Oy,
exposed to the same triggers over and over until we figure out how to deal with them, basically.
right,
So it's just, you can look at it. This is, if somebody's triggering us, we have to take a look at like ourselves, not them. Like
right.
it's them, they're the problem.
And that's very difficult in the moment because it
Mhm.
feels like it absolutely is coming from them. Whatever that
Yeah,
thing is that they said that's upsetting, it is coming from that person. But it took me forever to figure that out and to learn that is to like, oh, wait, I have a choice now as to
hmm
how I respond. And how I respond is everything. And do I protect
yeah,
my peace and hold that space? Or do I continue to elevate this situation and make it worse? Do I let
yeah.
her just have her, situation here by herself? And if she needs to walk off, she needs to walk off. But
Mm.
woof, yeah,
Yeah, even if our response is to take a deep breath and think this probably isn't going to work out for me because this person like is emotionally immature or whatever. But in that moment, we don't have to respond back with hate, with, judgment, with hostility. We can take a deep breath and think about how to respond appropriately.
or even
And that could be the
defending.
lesson we're supposed to learn, like that we don't have to
Exactly.
be triggered by other people's responses or, their outburst or whatever.
Exactly. And I grew up in this household where everybody just fought it out. So that was
Mm,
normal for me. So to me, I would feel like when somebody's coming at me, they were attacking me. And I thought, well, I have to defend myself here. Otherwise, I'm getting
yeah,
walked on. I did not understand that I could just go, you know what? I can just leave you right there where I found you.
yeah, yeah. Or
For
just
a
like validate,
long
say, oh, I can
time.
tell you're really mad right now. Like, let's take some
Right.
space to chill out.
Right. So
Yeah,
lesbians, take it from
yeah.
me, take it from us.
Yeah, yeah, gosh,
God.
I wish I knew this stuff when I was younger. Let's talk about blind spots
Yes.
because that's the top right-hand quadrant. These are things that are not known to self, but the other person can see them, right?
Right. Right.
And when I think back on myself when I was in my 20s and 30s, even, because I didn't know like a lot of the stuff I did wasn't really healthy. Like I just thought this is the way I am. But like I was married to the same woman for 15 years. Like we met when we were really young. Like my first marriage was 15
Mhm.
years.
Wow.
And this was like in my 20s and she was like, "You're really like passive aggressive." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." Like I didn't know like I was passive aggressive. Like it was my blind spot. I
Right.
didn't know when I was younger that giving somebody the silent treatment is like passive aggressive.
Right. That's another good
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Silent treatment, which I've been guilty of in the past for
Yeah.
sure.
So has anybody pointed out a blind spot to you that you didn't realize that you had?
Well, that one, I mean, you just reminded me of like that is exactly what I would do because I
Mhm.
didn't have the tools, right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
know that, oh, wait, I have a choice in this and it doesn't have to be defending or just going quiet and waiting and seeing what she does. Like I always gave
Mhm.
the other person so much power in a sense because I would shrink.
Yeah.
So, but my partners would say, hey, I need you to talk right now. I need you to communicate. You've disappeared for the last 24 hours and that doesn't feel
Yeah.
good.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. It's in these relationships where we just like in our earlier years where we had to just grow so much, and hope like now I can look back and be grateful for those things and that
Right.
I was taught these things. But in the moment, it's really hard. In the moment, it feels terrible.
Agreed. And I think that what helped me was having the tools and having the education and the knowledge and doing the work makes you feel safer in the moment,
Hmm
makes you feel like, you know what, I'm okay. Because when you don't have these tools, I feel like, or I'll say I always felt like, oh my God, everything was do or die. Every conversation, every argument felt so trepidatious. And the more I learned, the safer I felt to have the difficult conversations and to say, hey, we need to
Yeah.
talk about this.
Yeah.
This isn't working, and be
Yeah.
okay with detaching from the outcome, which is
Mm-hmm.
the other thing, right? Because if you're
hmm
so attached to this person and you already, like we said, have married them off, in
Yeah.
your mind, and you're 2 years down
Yeah.
the road already living in that house together, then it is
Yeah.
very difficult when these things come up to say, gosh, I don't know if this is a good fit for me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's like marrying, it's like the fantasy of them that we have initially.
Right,
Like we live
right.
in a lot of women do live in fantasy.
So you want to talk about limerence?
Yeah, sure. So that's another thing I did with my first wife is, and I didn't even know I was doing it. Like we met in college when it's so funny to think now, and it was a good story, um, a good love story, while it lasted. But so she was 18 and I was 20 when we met. First semester of her college,
That
and
sounds about right.
we were both in music school. We met in Glee
Oh,
Club, which is really
oh my
gay, right?
God. So gay.
Um, yeah. And so she's the first lesbian I ever knew. I
Uh-huh.
had not met any other lesbians. Like I was not involved in the queer community. I was really like in the religious community. And
Right. Same.
yeah.
We're Southern.
Yeah, I know. It's
What
like
you
that's
do.
just what you do in the South if you're a
Yes.
good girl, right?
Right. Right.
So anyway, she was out and she sat next to me in Glee Club, and I was just like mesmerized by her. There was something about her, right, that I was
Yeah.
drawn to. And she had told me that she was gay, and I think she had a girlfriend at the time. And I just sort of became obsessed with her, honestly. Like she was like my limerent object,
Uh-huh.
really. And it did grow into a friendship for several years. But I wasn't out. I was not out. And so it was sort of like this secret I had. Like I was secretly had a crush on her. So limerence is it's really one-sided. So
Right.
limerence is different from really just having like a crush on somebody, and it's different from the honeymoon phase. It is really one-sided where you create a fantasy about somebody and you
Yes.
want to be in a relationship with them. And they might not even know, right? They
Right.
might not even know, but you just, find yourself wishing to be with them.
Right.
Um,
But I feel
and
like it can exist inside a relationship
it
too,
can,
because I
yeah,
feel like,
it can exist in a relationship, but it's usually still one-sided, and one person likes the other one a lot more.
yeah.
And if the relationship is like cut off by the other person, you
Mhm.
still will like try to pursue.
Yes. Yes. Guilty. Guilty. That's what I'm saying. I feel like, in relationships past, I have done that and didn't
Yeah.
recognize what was going on because I just realized, like, oh, I have my idea of where this is headed. She has
Hmm.
her idea of where this is headed. And obviously, we're not on the same page. But I feel like it could be said that, my ideas were limerence. Maybe hers were too, but in a different
Yeah.
direction. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. This takes insight because you have to ask yourself, like, am I creating a fantasy about this person when I don't
Right.
really even know them that well? Like
Right.
I've known them for a month, but I'm attributing all these wonderful qualities to them that I don't even know if they really have.
Right, right. Which is tough to do when you've met somebody and it's all new and exciting and fresh and you're
Hmm.
excited, and you're telling your friends about this
Yeah.
person and it's hard not to like let your mind go down these paths of what if, what if, what if.
Hmm.
And I learned that, bringing it back to the woo woo or,
Yeah.
meditation, staying present, really practicing staying present and grounded and not allowing yourself to run away with those hopes and thoughts and dreams too soon,
Yeah.
especially in the first 6 months or so. You are still getting to know this person.
Hmm. That's what we always have to like reel it in. I'm like, get your
Right,
fishing rod out and just reel yourself in because it might feel good in the body and you might get butterflies or something, but that does not mean that you're compatible with them. It takes time.
exactly.
It takes a lot of time.
Exactly. And those butterflies I've discussed previously too, back to how we attract that other person. It's like we're attracting someone that is familiar with whatever patterns was that we grew up with, right? So
Hmm.
if there's
Hmm.
something in our brain that we still have to work out that's mysterious, that we
Hmm.
didn't get full love from mom or dad
Hmm.
in this sense, and they had this kind of personality style on them, and then
Hmm.
up walks a hot lesbian who's got similar traits, you might not even consciously recognize it,
Yeah,
right? But something
right.
feels familiar because you're like, wait a minute, I know that, my parent used to sort of have these characteristics and behave this way, and this is how I earned love with them,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
then next thing you know, here you are working out trauma from your childhood.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like imago therapy with relationships, and it's an older model, but a lot of couples therapists still use it. Imago therapy is this theory that we attract people with the positive and negative traits of our parents in order to heal old wounds.
I agree with that 1000%.
And in a perfect relationship, that would happen,
Yeah.
but it usually is not perfect.
Yes.
Because the other person doesn't know how to handle sometimes what we're trying to resolve, and they aren't really healthy
Right.
enough to do that for us, and us, we can't do it for them either. So,
Right.
but that is so true, especially, in my book, I talk about the anxious avoidant trap. And if you have more of an
Yep.
anxious attachment style, which
Yeah.
means you are, cling more and just, typically we're like hopeless romantics, we fantasize about love and we want to be in relationships. We will end up chasing somebody who is less available because it's familiar. Like that feeling is familiar because it comes from family.
Yes.
So I think it's interesting that the word familiar is like comes from the word family. Like if somebody feels
Oh
familiar,
my
it's like
God. Yes.
it's,
Great
attached to
point.
family.
I was going to say, at what point do you think in the relationship is a healthy time to bring up? Well, some people don't even recognize their patterns, right? I mean,
Mm.
obviously, I guess these things are going to come up naturally on their own, probably around the 6 month point. Is that what you're
Mm.
thinking? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, it could be sooner. I think that, a really good way to test to see if somebody is a good fit for you is, first of all, we want to make sure somebody's emotionally mature. That is really important. Emotional maturity is very important. And the way to know that is to give somebody feedback about something they've done, something minor to that irked you or that hurt you. Going back to the dishes in the sink. Let's say
Right.
somebody comes, spends a night at your house, they left some dirty dishes in the sink overnight. Let's say you're 2 months in to the relationship. Just gently bring up the fact that they did something you didn't like and see how they respond.
Yes.
That is a really good way to figure out if somebody's emotionally mature. And you just might gently say, "Hey, by the way, you left some dirty dishes in the sink, and I might, sometimes we get ants. I don't want that to happen, and I just don't like dirty dishes in the sink overnight."
Yep.
If they respond defensively and say like,
Right.
"Oh my God, you're so picky," or
Yep.
"I can't believe you bring that up. Like you make such a big deal out of everything." If it's
Yes.
any response other than like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'll do it next time. Sorry about that." If
Right.
it's anything other than that, you could be dealing with somebody who is emotionally immature, and that is a red flag. Like,
Agreed. And those
yeah,
are like, we're talking about harmless little things that you're bringing up to them to see how it goes. Now, what
yeah.
if it's something that is a big red flag that they've done? Do you want to give them an opportunity to repair the situation, or do you just kind of go, oh gosh, we're 2 months in and I'm seeing this person explode
Mm.
at someone?
Oh,
Like how would you take that
oh
into
gosh.
consideration?
Well, to some people that would be like a non-negotiable. Like if you see somebody's like hot-headed, and they can't handle their, being triggered or angry, whatever,
Yeah.
then that might be a red flag. Somebody like that would be something to take a good look at for yourself and be like, is this somebody that I want to be with if they have that sort of energy?
Right. Right.
And then I would
But
say I would talk to them about it and say like, is this, that, talk about yourself. Like I'm
right.
concerned about the way I saw you react in this situation. Is that normal? Be curious about it. Like I say with anything, be curious.
Yeah. And
If
maybe
they
they've
can,
had a bad day, or
yeah,
something, but I don't know. I guess you
if
have
they
to.
can take ownership for it and say like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Like, and I'm going to work on that. That'd be different than them saying, what do you mean? That's the way I should have reacted. Like I was just, that was normal.
Right. Right.
You should do that too, whatever. It just depends on their response. I mean, you could bring it up and see what they say about it. I would be curious about it.
I would be too.
Yeah.
And I tend to be attracted to passionate people. And
Hmm.
I recognize that with the passion and the creativity and artistic side sometimes comes that. But what I have learned is that they still need to be able to take control of their emotions and they still need to be
Yeah.
responsible.
Yeah. That's hard. If somebody has all of these traits that you might like,
Yeah.
but there's this one thing that could be a really big deal. But so if the 90% is good, but the 10% is not so good, you have to remember that 10% could turn into the 90%
Yeah.
once you get closer to them or you're living with them. And could you handle that if they were like that, like more and more?
Right, because those things chip away. It's like death by a thousand paper cuts, right? It's like the
Mhm.
longer you tolerate things, I've learned the more it's just
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I feel like at this point in my life, I need someone that has a growth mindset and is able to hear these things and at least consider them and go, okay, I see where you're coming from, or I don't understand. Can you explain it to me? Or can we talk about that? But
Mhm.
not just, I don't want to be that way either, defiant with someone and vice versa. Like at this point, I'm
Yeah.
focused on someone
Yeah.
who's willing to
Explain like
grow.
explain what you know about growth mindset, because I was actually just listening to Logan Ury, who's like the behavioral specialist for Hinge. I was just listening to a
Oh,
podcast with her. Um, she wrote the book How to Not Die Alone.
that's a great
Yeah,
title.
she works for Hinge. I really like her. And she was
Get
saying that
cats,
that's one of what's that?
get cats. No,
Yeah,
joking.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
yeah, that's if you don't want to date, just get some cats. You'll be fine.
lesbians.
Because yeah, some people just want to be alone, which is fine. Like get your cats and
Yeah.
animals, and yeah, it's great. But anyway, Logan Ury was saying that that's one thing that we should be looking for in a partner is that they have a growth mindset
I
versus like a
agree.
fixed mindset.
The way I understand that is what you were just saying is get curious, stay curious, be open-minded.
Hmm.
When someone brings something to your attention, say, oh gosh, I didn't realize I did that. Um, can you explain it to me? Or I'm sorry, if you
Yeah.
don't understand it, be curious, be willing to hear what their side of it is. Just don't be
Hmm.
defensive about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. I think it's
Yeah,
that
being
simple.
open-minded to a different
Yeah, be willing.
perspective that you might be blind to. Like, because we have
Right.
blind spots and we want to like say, I don't understand that reaction that you had. Can you tell me more about like how that happened for you and why you responded that way?
Right. And it takes, hopefully you have a kind partner too who can convey it in a way that's not like, you did blah 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 blah. Like that's
Yeah,
different. That's like, whoa, 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 now my shackles are up.
right.
Hold on,
Yeah.
let's de-escalate a minute here. But, if someone
Mhm.
says, hey, you left the dishes in the sink, Ashley, and we get ants sometimes, and I'll be like, oh, you know what? I didn't even realize that I'm so sorry. I won't do
Yeah,
that again.
right.
It's really, I think, just taking ownership of what you did,
Hmm. Hmm.
and being willing to hear the other person and what they're saying, as long
Hmm.
as it is something that makes sense. Like I said, because I have had this happen before where, have you ever seen this before? Like in relationships, you have the mirror, right? And one person is convinced they're right and they're saying something and you did blah, 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 blah. And you're like, whoa, hang on.
Hmm.
Hold on. I think that to be able to be open and have the growth mindset, it takes two, and it
Hmm.
takes a calm, grounded place.
Hmm.
I've even seen some people suggest lying down together and just like looking
Yeah,
at each
yeah,
other and
yeah,
holding
yeah,
hands while you talk. I've never had to go to that
yeah.
extent, or I've never done that, but it looks like a cute idea. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
just being kind with each other and
Uh-huh.
explaining it as best you can and being open to hearing
Hmm.
your partner's point of view.
Yeah, and I do couples therapy. I'm a couples therapist, so I see this happen in front of me all the time,
Yeah.
where one person thinks they're right and the other person's wrong. And what I tell people, it's not really, we have to move out of the who's right and who's wrong and move into what is your perspective of this?
Yes.
Because a lot of times, either both people are right,
Right.
both people are a little right, maybe both people are a little wrong, and there's usually some middle ground there where also somebody just like took meaning from something
Yes.
that that's not what the person intended the meaning to be.
Exactly. Intention is
So
huge
it's just
too.
picking all of this apart and getting, each person in the relationship to realize that we create meaning a lot of times out of these situations, from our partner, what they say, what they do, when it doesn't mean that at all.
Right. Everybody's running it through their filter of their
Yeah.
experiences, what they grew up with, what they, like you said, what they think you just said to them and their interpretation of that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you're
I
right.
mean, and
I've
just,
seen that where both of us feel like we're very right from where we sat, and it made
yeah.
sense. I was like, well, we're both wrong and we're both right,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we just need to be kind and like figure out how to
Yeah.
move through it.
Yeah. A good question to ask yourself is, after an argument, would you rather feel good about yourself or have won the argument?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I would rather just feel good about myself,
Yeah.
and say, well, hey, maybe you're right. I'm not sure, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. I say, would you rather be kind or right?
That's
Same
good too.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Same.
we can win an argument. Like I could, you could yell and shame somebody and win the argument, and they're like, okay, you're right. But then feel terrible, and the
Yeah.
other person feels terrible too. So yeah,
Exactly.
we just have to move out of this like right or wrong mindset. But I mean, another blind spot I had when I was younger that I didn't know I had was I do get defensive, and I have to really watch that. I get
Me
defensive
too.
if somebody points something out, because I'm a people pleaser and I want things to be right. I like peace. And so if somebody points something out, I want to defend myself, but I've learned I don't have to. And it's okay to be like, yeah, I did do that. I'm sorry. Like I'll check
Yeah.
myself on that
Yeah.
and
Same.
take a deep breath. So
Same. Right. So then moving into the unknown on that Johari window, traits, feelings, abilities that are not yet known, revealed in time.
yeah, I mean, there's so much we don't know about people, and so much that's unknown, and we don't know about ourselves either. And sometimes I've heard people say, if you really want to get to know somebody, then go on like a camping trip with them for a weekend and
Oh
see
my
what
God.
happens.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, for
because
sure.
we don't really know what's inside of us or somebody else until we're uncomfortable. We're in uncomfortable situations. Like, how does somebody deal with stress? How does
And
somebody deal
camping
with
is
having to
so uncomfortable.
compromise?
I am not that lesbian.
Right.
Sorry.
So no, I'm like, please do not take me camping. Like that
Yeah.
would be miserable.
So
But
funny.
whatever it takes to, go spend it, even if you just spend a weekend with somebody, you're going to learn more about them,
Right.
because we don't really know somebody until they're in a stressful situation. There's, their toes are stepped on in some way,
Right.
and see how they react. And those are all the unknown things.
Exactly. I am at this point have said that relationships moving forward, I want to see someone when they're under stress. I want to
Yeah.
see someone who work is hard. I want to
Yeah.
see, how do you handle that? How do you handle when somebody close to you does something that hurts your feelings? I mean, I want to kind of see them in seasons, right? Not just when
Yeah.
it's all happy, happy, joy, joy.
Yeah, that's so true. And yeah, and the thing I want younger people to know when they're dating is all of this takes a lot of time.
Yes, it does.
You only know these things through having the experiences, not talking about things. Like,
Right.
you're not going to know the first 2 weeks. You can share all your trauma with each other if you want to, but you're only going to know these things, the unknown things, through shared experiences over time.
Right, because this person may act differently with you than they do with their friends or with their family and
Hmm.
what I mean, this relationship is its own entity that brings its
It
own
is, yeah.
energy and reactions and
And I really don't
so
think
on.
truly know somebody until you live with them. I do believe that.
Oof, that sounds terrifying.
And you don't, I mean, some couples choose not to live together, that's
No, I
fine.
want to again one day. I'm just saying that feels like ugh, a ways away for me at this point. I'm just thinking
Right.
about it, taking
Well,
it in. I'm like, oh,
well, Because also somebody's attachment wounds are not going to show up until you're seeing them like almost every day and living with them.
Right.
Because somebody with avoidant attachment initially is going to look secure and show up secure, but
Yes.
probably when you move in together, they're going to start withdrawing.
Great.
So you will not know that until they
Right.
might be, if they have insight, they can say, like, I have avoidant attachment. And
Right. Right.
I'm talking about somebody who's unhealed, somebody with who's worked on it, they would know it's going to show
Yes.
up. But if somebody doesn't know they have avoidant attachment, they're going to start feeling smothered once you move in together. And they're
Right.
going to start
Or sooner.
prioritizing doing other things
Yeah.
without you.
Yep.
And yeah, working, they'll start working more, they'll start just prioritizing like everything ahead of the relationship. But you might not see
Right.
that until you move in together. So that's something that's just an unknown part that
Right. Right.
you only
Right.
know through experience.
Clearly, you and I have the same attachment style. So,
Yeah, I want to say I'm healed anxious. I'm
right.
healed, like,
I
because I've
will find
worked on
out
it
when
so
I enter my
much.
next.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I will find
We'll
out when
find
I enter
out.
my next relationship if it's healed, but I recognized it, yes,
Yeah.
last year. I was like, oof,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
still got this. Yeah.
Yeah. She hasn't texted me back yet. It's been 30 minutes and she hasn't texted me back yet. Something
I don't
must be
even know. I
wrong.
don't even think it was that. And I never was like jealous or anything like that, which is interesting. It was more of why aren't you prioritizing the relationship?
Huh.
What you
Uh-huh.
just said is like, wait a minute, we were this close and everything was
Yeah.
great. And all of a sudden things shifted. And I thought
Hmm.
it was things were good, things were moving through.
Huh.
But there was so much, it was so much deeper than that, and so many red flags that
Mm.
I painted green.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I should have known better for
Hmm.
myself. Like Ashley, you're stepping back into opening yourself up, you know, to having to go through these patterns again, which I didn't realize. You learn through each relationship, right? The next one, I'm going to take it very, very slowly.
Yeah. Yeah. And to check in with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah. And
lose
at the
yourself in your
time
relationship.
too, it's like I had just moved to London. I'm in London
Hmm.
and I didn't have a lot of friends here. I knew a couple of people and she had oodles of friends. So
Oh.
that didn't help either. Now I've been here for, a couple of years and I know a lot of people. So it will be different moving forward. I will have
Hmm.
my things that I do every week and people that I
Yeah.
see every week. So
Hmm.
that to me feels safer. It feels like I will instantly walk into whatever's next with
Hmm.
different boundaries just because of what I learned, but
Hmm.
also I won't be sitting around wondering, yes, when are we going to be able to get together again?
You'll have your own like identity and your own friends and people to
Yes.
hang out with, something outside of the relationship, which is great.
And it's something that very interestingly would not have come up for me in the same way had I not moved here, I think, because in
Huh.
Los Angeles, where I lived for 24 years, I
Hmm.
knew so many people. I had something to do
Yeah.
every day if I wanted. But
Oh,
when I
yeah.
came here, I was like, oh, this feels different.
What's the lesbian scene like in London?
It's pretty fantastic. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
really? Good.
Yeah, it's great. It's a really good community here.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of the typical like bar stuff, which I don't drink.
Hmm.
So I had to seek out other groups of people to hang out with. So the meetups were a great way for me to find
Hmm.
and there's several lesbian meetups that go to museums, go to theater,
Yeah,
do
that's
active
great.
stuff outside. There's a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
which is really
Good.
cool.
That is cool. Okay.
Yeah. What's it like in Asheville?
Well, Asheville is a blue dot in a red state. So it's a very liberal city, but it's only 90,000 people. It's
Okay.
very small. And so, but there's a lot of gay people here, and I've heard that it's a struggle to date because the dating pool is so small. So
Right.
my friends that are single like really complain about it a lot. It's such a small dating pool.
Right.
And when I'm trying to coach people like with dating around here, I'm just like, you have to open up your window,
Yeah.
of location
Right.
to date people maybe in other cities.
Yeah.
Um, because it's such a small dating pool here, but it's fun. Like there's like all of my friends are lesbians.
That's great.
Yeah, and a lot of them are single. But we're, I'm just friends with them. But so even this weekend there was like a tea dance at a
Cute.
yeah, there's probably a hundred people there.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
I
yes.
have never been, and experienced the lesbian scene in Asheville, but I have visited it a few times. I remember when we were little, our parents took us, three kids at the time, to Asheville. I was probably 8 years old. And we went to the Grove Park Inn to stay for the
Yeah.
weekend. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh my God, we have arrived. That place is so beautiful. But that's really
Yeah.
what I remember about Asheville, is that gorgeous hotel with this massive fireplace that they would tell us it's so big you can drive your car in it or whatever. It's
Hmm.
beautiful, big. Anyway, that's my
Yeah.
memory of Asheville.
Yeah, it's great. I love it here. Like it's really wonderful. And
Beautiful.
but I did date a girl in Charleston. I dated a woman in Charleston
Oh, really?
maybe like 8 or 9 years ago. So I would drive to Charleston from Asheville like every other weekend or something,
Oh.
hang out with her.
After we get off, you'll have to tell me who it was.
Her when's the last time you lived in Charleston?
Well, I have a place there, so I still go back and forth.
Okay.
Like, I have made friends with some of that community there.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty small community. Yeah, maybe you know her. The lesbian chart, maybe we're somehow connected and
Oh my God. In every city, it's so funny because I've only dated a couple of people here in the 4 years that I've been coming to London.
uh-huh,
And I do run into them still. I'm like, how can it be that a city of this size, and it was the same thing in Los Angeles. It's just
uh-huh,
crazy. Lesbian
yeah,
scene is not big, everybody
right.
does know everybody.
Do you have any of like anything coming up that you like to announce?
Well, I can say that I am currently writing a lesbian romantic comedy. So
Oh,
that'll be coming out if I can finish it. I've got so much in the works right
that's
now,
so
y'all. I
cool.
want to share, but I feel like it might be too soon. I have a
Oh,
few really fun things
cool.
coming down the pipe. The
Hmm.
community that follows this podcast is lovely, and they're very engaged and very
Hmm.
kind.
Good. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And what about you? Because you have a podcast called Pride.
Well,
Right.
it's just a YouTube page. I guess it could be considered a podcast, but I just do
Yeah.
educational videos, and I will sometimes like react to, I started it when Queer Love came out, the Ultimatum Queer Love,
Oh my
like a
God,
couple
that
of
was so
years.
fun.
Yeah, so when
So
that came out
fun.
on Netflix a couple of years ago, the first season, I started reviewing it.
What a train wreck.
And
I'm sure you had a lot to talk about.
yeah, I had a lot to talk about. And so that was one of the first things I did on YouTube was just reviewing, the ultimatum. I'd go through each of the couples and talk about like what I see as a therapist going on with them. And
Awesome.
so from there, I just, and I did season two as well. Like I went
Yeah.
through, those are my most watched videos, or just like me reviewing,
Yeah.
Queer Love. And
Great
but
idea.
also I just do like other mental health stuff for, I gear it towards like the queer communities, just because like right now a lot of people are struggling and therapy is expensive. And so it's just a
Yeah.
way to offer like free, mental health support and how to deal with like these times.
Exactly. I think that's fantastic. I think it's great to at least show people like little pieces of things that maybe they don't realize they haven't dived into yet. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like, that was my
Yeah.
opinion, right? I thought
Hmm.
it's completely my
Oh, you
opinion of
can
it, and
learn
it was
so
wrong.
much.
Maybe
Well,
it's only a couple of therapy sessions that you need because there's one thing that you don't see about yourself.
yeah, it's
So
true
it was
too. Yeah.
it was pretty
Yeah.
eye-opening for me because Southern girl, I never thought I would do therapy. I just thought, what do you mean that's for people
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
for somebody else, but it's so
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. But are you familiar with the lesbian matchmaker, Sophia Spallino?
So
I'm
I've
gonna
heard of her before. Yes. Tell me
Okay,
what you're
so
doing with
I'm
her.
going to be she invited me to do a workshop in one of her groups that she'll be doing like in the fall. So I
Is
guess
she
it's
going to
people who
match
are
make
part.
you?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
I'm just going to be presenting some stuff from the book.
got it.
She
That's
just
very
wants
cool.
me to like do a presentation for her group. So that's going to be in the fall. That's going to be fun. I've
That'd be really
never
fun.
done anything like that's going to be a large group of people because it's people like who have joined her community.
Yeah,
And so I'll be doing that in the fall. And what else? Um, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing 25 clients this week. My schedule's full.
that's
But
fantastic.
if anybody is in North Carolina, I can, do therapy with people.
Right. But now you do it over Zoom as well? Can
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
people
So
all
they can
over
be
North
anywhere in the
Carolina.
world, really, right? And
Well,
reach
I'm
out to
only
you.
licensed in North Carolina. I could do some, as far as therapy, I'm only licensed in North Carolina, but I could do like, coaching. I could do something specific, just like date, stuff around dating,
Right.
but I can't do therapy with somebody who lives in another state.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
realize that was how
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
I
Yeah.
think you're a wealth of information. I think anybody should be able to call you up. So if they wanted to call you for coaching, that's
Yeah.
something you could sort
Yeah.
out with them differently.
Yeah. And people can look on my website, Pride Therapy, pridetherapy.com. It's easy to remember.
Okay. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, the book is available on my website and Amazon, so that's easy. It's a download and paperback.
Get that book, y'all. It is, I'm telling you, it's chock full of good
Well,
information and it's geared towards lesbians.
I did hand draw all those graphs. Like I wanted to show you how that's the good thing about ADHD is like getting hyper focused on some creative thing and just like
Yep.
being obsessed with it, and then like I got it done. So even like this graph is hand drawn, and I just uploaded it to Canva and did it all myself, but I did not use AI to do this.
That's awesome. No, it's really good. And the illustrations are perfect and, they're super helpful. So I thought it was great. I think anybody that is curious about maybe what they don't know, if they're running
Mhm.
into these types of blocks in relationships, like it's great. It's a great resource.
Yeah, thank you.
Obviously for the people who follow you, you can find me on YouTube at Your Southern Lesbian and everywhere where you follow podcasts.
Yeah, so you're on TikTok and Instagram, but you're not you're trying to veer are you trying to veer away from those platforms and go
No,
Blue Sky?
no,
No?
no.
Okay.
So I'm staying on there. I just did a backup on Blue Sky in case because the world is crazy right now. And if
Okay.
government getting their hands in different
Okay, right.
platforms. And I'm like, God forbid, if anything happens, I am set up on Blue Sky as well, but I have no plans to jump ship from TikTok. I
Okay.
love it. And the community there also, like it has a great lesbian community. So
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And Instagram, we've just started on. So that's the
Oh,
little
yeah.
engine that
Okay.
could. Yeah. And YouTube at Your
Cool.
Southern Lesbian. So thank you for reaching out.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to chat today. I think this has been great. I
Yeah, it's
hope
been
you guys
fun.
got something out of it, lesbians, and that you understand the Johari window a little bit now
Uh-huh.
because I had not, I'd heard of it, like I said, but it was really helpful to see it again and go, oh, wait a minute, that's right. There are blind spots, there are unknown things, there are things that you really need to pay attention to at the beginning of a relationship that you just don't know what you don't know. So don't
Mm-hmm.
assume, after a few weeks when you're feeling all lovey-dovey, that there's not a lot more to work through.
Mm-hmm. And pace yourself.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I really
Yeah, it's
appreciate
been great to
this.
talk to you, and
Yeah,
thanks for letting me ask you some questions too about all of your internal work.
absolutely. And thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you so much. And I'll see you next week, and you'll see everybody in your next
Yeah,
video.
yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good.
All right. Take care. Bye, y'all. Just a reminder, y'all, I'm not a doctor. Everything I share here is for entertainment and encouragement, not medical advice. The views you hear are mine or my guests, not my sponsors. Any similarity to real people is purely coincidence.